right, welcome back, everyone. Let's talk some more Auburn football as we get you ready for Auburn and Oklahoma, the big game this weekend on ABC. And joining us on the line, Coach Fred Riley, former grad assistant for Pat Dye on the Plains. Coach, always good to see you, and always good to get your perspective on the Tigers heading into the weekend.
Yeah, good to be here and look forward to this weekend. War Eagle.
War Eagle, very interesting game this weekend. I think I wanted to ask you quickly at the beginning, how was your celebration last weekend?
Oh, went great. They had us all on the field and called us out individually and all that good stuff, and celebrating that 45 years ago a conference championship team. I mean, they had a big tent for us down field level, and got to see a bunch of guys that I hadn't seen in a long time, and from players to trainers to coaches, et cetera. And it was, and I got to hang out with the oldest living UNA Lion. He played on the 1949 team. He is 96 years old.
Wow. You had some good stories, I bet.
And well, he didn't do a lot of talking. and his daughter was there with him, sort of escorting him around and getting him where he needed to get. And she's 15 years older than me. She was like 80.
Yeah.
So it was interesting, to say the least.
Well, good. Sounds like a good time up there. When I think about this Auburn Oklahoma game, just been watching video, thinking about it during the week, and reading about the different aspects of it. I thought this is a game for Coach Fred Riley, because you got a great quarterback story here with Jackson Arnold going back to Oklahoma, where he came from. Of course, he was a five-star coming out of Texas in high school, and winds up in the portal, winds up at Auburn for this season. And you've got on the other side of it, Arbuckle, who was the offensive coordinator at Washington State, comes in with John Mateer to Oklahoma, and that's kind of their duo offensively this year. And now, all of a sudden, Mateer is the guy that they're talking about for the Heisman Trophy. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens this weekend.
And I think they played against each other in high school in Texas, too. So they're very familiar with one another. And from a distance, I think root for one another, that they'll do well and represent the state of Texas, and represent Texas high school football. No question, two guys who are playing very, very well at quarterback right now. They're not turning the ball over. They're making quality decisions. Oklahoma defensively right at this point in time is statistically played better than we have. We'll see how that plays out. But we run the ball better. I mean, and when you go on the road to somewhere like Oklahoma, I mean, you've got to be able to run the ball. You got to win the kicking game, and you got to make them kick field goals, and not make them take three instead of seven. They're very good at throwing the football. Some of top in the country in passing yards so far. So gonna be a fun football game though.
What do you think? There's been a ton of talk, obviously, this week about Jackson going back and how does he handle that. At some point during the week, I guess Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whenever it is, you got to kind of shut that talk down and say, well, we're just going to go play football and see if we can beat Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be mature enough, and I'm sure that he is, to know that this is not about him. I mean, this is about Auburn, and it's about, trying to win another game in the Southeastern Conference, win a road game in the SEC, which is difficult enough as it is, and not get not hear all the noise pregame and not hear all the noise during the game. There'll be some cat calls and some signs and all that stuff poking at him a little bit, and use that as a little bit, maybe a little more energy. But at the end of the day, do what you do. Get the ball to your guys. Let them make plays. Protect the ball. Make good decisions. Do what you've done all the way up till now. And but now you get to do it on a national stage. It's not an 11:45 kickoff. This is the whole world's going to watch this, and the football world, and I'm sure he's excited about it. I know I would be.
What did you think of Jackson and the offense last week against South Alabama? I thought South was maybe the best they've ever been as far as their football team. And I don't know what to make exactly out of Auburn in the second half there. They only got a field goal in the second half of play. South Alabama was pretty good, but that concerns me a little bit going into this game that we weren't able to put points on the board there.
And I think some of that was we couldn't get South off the field on the other side of the ball. They they
Yeah.
they ran the ball extremely well and kept controlled the second half, time of possession wise, field position wise. Even when South didn't score, they either punted us back or turned it over on downs on our end of the field. And you got to, as a head coach, you're sitting there, you got a 2 touchdown lead. Yeah, but I like to score one more. Yeah, but I also don't want to get cute right here and get greedy and something bad happen. Next thing you know, you've got a 1-score game, and now we've got to open the playbook back up offensively and to separate a little bit. And I know when I was playing at North Alabama, we played a couple of gimme games, Lane College, Langston College, and I remember asking our head coach, Coach Grubb, after it was all over, why do we play guys like that? He said, because in 20 years, Fred, my record will show that I won so many games. I ain't gonna ask who it is against. And I said, well, that's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to agree with you there.
It is an interesting schedule. I've talked about that with numerous people this season, where you have Ball State and South Alabama and Mercer now with the SEC schedule, and it'll change next year, I guess. And you also have 2 off weeks, so
Right.
there's I don't want to call it downtime, but there's a lot of non-SEC action or lack of action on that schedule.
Right. And again, there's the open dates, buy games, those things help you get well in this league. I mean, there's a reason that teams have open dates ahead of big games, to get people back, get people well. The gimme games are building depth and building enthusiasm, and everybody going into that week of practice sort of feels like, hey, I may get to play this week, and
Yeah.
changes your energy at practice a little bit. So but there's a rhyme and reason for all of it.
Talking with Coach Fred Riley as we head toward Auburn and Oklahoma this weekend. Coach, let's talk a little bit about Brent Venables, the head coach of the Sooners. He's got quite a history at Oklahoma with Bob Stoops, and then off to coach for Dabo Swinney at Clemson as a defensive coordinator. I think assistant head coach there for a number of years. He's one of those guys that's known around the football world for his defense and what he's accomplished. How do we deal with that? What do you see in their defense? How do we deal with it this weekend?
Again, well coached. I mean, well respected in the coaching community. He's been successful everywhere he's been. He puts big, strong, fast football players out there, and he's always been at places where he can recruit big, strong, and fast football players. And he knows what he's doing with them. I mean, they don't make the big mistake and give up the big play. They stuff the run. I mean, people are not running the football on them at all. They have been that good up front. And we've got to be able to run the ball against them. We've got to be able to put them in conflict between run pass and also just where he can't lay his ears back on us on long yardage, because he's always been put together very good blitz packages also in his career, and we'll get after you there too. So first downs are critical. Can you keep it in 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5? Where going from first down to first down or second down to first down and staying away from third is a pretty good recipe for being successful on offense.
Yeah. One of the things I noticed just in watching the highlights of the Michigan game, didn't watch the whole game, and this is probably, something that his teams are known for over the years, but it seems to me like Oklahoma had great recognition of what Michigan was trying to do, and they were almost there ahead of the play, while it was happening and snuffed it out pretty good.
And that's experience on defense. That's being together for quite a while, being with your coach for quite a while. You learn systems of football and learn how to defend systems of football. And all great defensive coordinators, first and foremost, they take away the things that you do well. They're going to game plan the things that you do well and say, all right, beat us left-handed, beat us doing something else, and also they keep the ball in front of them. They don't give
Yeah.
up big plays, don't give up cheap touchdowns, and make you snap it one more time. Make the opponent kick field goals and not give up touchdowns. And I think it's going to be one of those kind of games on both sides of the ball.
So if you're Brent Venables or the defensive coordinator, what do you see in Auburn? What does Auburn do well? What do you take away? We haven't seen a lot of the deep passing game yet, probably by design. So it's kind of a guessing game going into Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I think uh, uh, defending a coach free style offense, first and foremost, you've got to stop the downhill run game. You can't let us establish a line of scrimmage and run the ball downhill, because it just opens up everything if we're able to do that. And force us into long yardage situations where they can come after us and get after us. And I think we've got to be very patient early in the game. Try to take the don't give the crowd any other reason to get that much louder by forcing the issue early. A punt's a good play. You keep punting it, and we'll see how our defense holds up against a team that throws for 300 yards a game. I mean, these guys are good. And how do we hold up the secondary? Can we get pass rush on him? Can we get pass rush on him? We're not allowing him to escape and run and make plays. I mean, he's that complete quarterback that can do all those things for you, and they're very, very tough to defend.
Yeah, probably a big weekend for Keldrick Falk and Morris Williams. We don't know exactly how his health is going into this weekend, but maybe a young guy, Jared Smith, out of Thompson High School, may get some playing time or maybe a start on the edge there. So it'll be a big weekend for them. But let's talk briefly, just as we close here, about their offense a little bit. What I see watching them is Mateer, at least in their big game against Michigan, they like that called quarterback run. He's their leading rusher so far, as you mentioned a minute ago. And he's also, it appears to me, he's not afraid to throw the ball over the middle or down the field and zip it in there into some pretty good coverage. He has some confidence, which can go good or it can go bad in a big game like this.
Sure, and open is a relative term. For a guy to be open, for me, when I played, there better be some separation there. I was not the strongest arm guy in the world. These guys open is just, a tick. These guys can stick that ball into knot holes, and you can be in great position. And these guys are so good. Arm strength is so good. Accuracy is so good. They can put the ball in places that you can play perfect defense, and all of a sudden you're tackling a guy who just caught the ball. And confident guys that talented guys that have that kind of confidence are dangerous. And he's a dangerous quarterback. And of course, we're hoping that we're in the process of watching our guy become a dangerous quarterback. And this week would be a great week for him to have a true coming out party for sure.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how much Jackson runs this weekend. We know I think Mateer is going to run a little bit, and that'll be a big key, us slowing him down in that running game, and how effective they can be in doing that.
No doubt. And look, it's still football too. You got to hit him.
Yeah.
If he runs the ball, you got to put pads on him and help him up and pat him back to the huddle, and as they used to say, and tell him I'll be right back, and go hit him again. And that's it's football. Football's a war of attrition a lot of times. How many hits can a guy take and still be effective? We're going to have to hit the guy, and they're going to hit our guy too.
Yeah. And another test for the Auburn defensive secondary, a pretty good passing game here. We saw it in game one against Baylor. So, we've had some struggles there, even against South Alabama, with guys getting separation and the other team being able to throw the ball down the field. So that's going to be something we're going to have to do a little bit better at this weekend, I think.
No question. And again, as we said earlier, even if they do complete some passes, get them to the ground. Even if they drive it to the 20 or the 15, now the field's compressed, there's not a lot of space, and hold them to field goals. And
Yeah.
once they get down there, they're going to get down there some. They're really good.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get down there some too. I mean, I think just the method of getting down there will be a little bit different. I hope that we can run the football well enough to force them into one high safety where we get one-on-one stuff outside, and maybe this is the week that all of our wideouts as a group impact the football game.
Yeah. You seem like, just listening to you talk, you seem like you're pointing toward a lower scoring, old fashioned type SEC game.
Oh, I would think so. I mean, I think there'll be a lot of field goals kicked, and be that, the way a lot of the games have been here recently. And but what I'm thinking about, it just crossed my mind. How about, totally off the subject, but crossed my mind, how about Vanderbilt and South Carolina?
Ooh.
We talked about that last week, that South Carolina might be in trouble, and Vandy goes in there and 37-7s those guys.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I got a chance to watch a pretty good bit of that one. And coming out of that game and out of the weekend, I asked a couple people and I started thinking, who's the best team in the conference right now? And I'm not sure Vanderbilt is not.
Well, and I told I was with some of our friends after our game. We were watching it in their home, and when Vandy separated from them, I said, that sound you hear is Auburn and Alabama people puckering, because they have both seen this, and these people are good, and run the play clock down to under 5 every time. Execute basically running the wishbone from a spread offense. I mean, they are very good, and they have answers. And if they stay healthy, they're going to be trouble down the road, no doubt.
Yeah, yeah. And gosh, you don't think of it. You didn't think of it 10 years ago, but you have to think about that Auburn Vandy game going to Nashville. That's going to be one on the schedule, down the schedule a little bit, but it's a game you got to think about now.
Well, and again, I saw it's the first time since 1984 that Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech were both ranked in the top 25 at the same time.
Is that right?
That is a long 41 years since that's happened. And,
mostly on the Vanderbilt side, I would think.
And if you go back to that 84, and Watson Brown was the head coach at Vanderbilt back in the day when they were doing some cute things offensively. Georgia Tech was playing good football. They hadn't won their national championship yet with Bobby Ross, but they were a good football team, respectable team, and it's they rolled into or they swept the state of South Carolina this past weekend. So.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. Noise. And you got to think this guy Lee, who's the coach there now, is he's a good football coach, number one. And he is where he wants to be. This is not a stepping stone. This is his home.
Well, and the Georgia Tech coach, had a great interview, and both their programs are both built on toughness.
Yeah,
their programs they are very old fashioned, old school. We're going to be tough on you in practice. We're going to be tough on you in the off season. And we're going to convince you that in the fourth quarter, we're going to win because we're going to be physically and mentally tougher than our opponents, that will last longer than they will. And both programs are built that way. And I think Georgia Tech's quarterback, he carried the ball 20 something times in that game. And they were very effective. They do what they do, and they know what they're doing, and they're that curveball offensive system wise in both leagues that you just had to burn it. You wish all of a sudden you wish you had an open date ahead of Vanderbilt, so you get ready for their stuff and prep for it. So it's tough to get ready for in a short week.
I bet Georgia Tech wishes they had Eric Singleton right now too.
I would imagine. Yeah, I think a lot of people do. No question.
Yeah. Well, Coach, always appreciate your being with us and your perspective, and hope you enjoy the ball game this weekend. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle, Doug. Have a good one.